Are you a bull? Welcome back to our channel, Atma Occult,
where we compile useful information from classical occult traditions to help you get more out of life.
Before we go any further, please subscribe to our channel. It really helps us out. And don't forget to hit that like button. So today we are going to talk about Taurus. This is my little Taurus bull. He might pop up here and there. So as an overview, Taurus is an earth sign. It's a fixed sign. It's a feminine sign. It's the original second house of the primordial birth chart, which mostly represents your accumulated wealth, among other things.
Yeah, and as the second house of the original birth chart, Taurus represents an Artha house. Artha in Sanskrit meaning everything related to your material prosperity.
Taurus is ruled by the planet Venus, and it is symbolized, you guessed it, by a bull.
The Sanskrit word for Taurus is Vrishabha, which means literally bull, and it can also be translated to mean strong or mighty. And since Taurus is a fixed earth sign, so it's the only fixed earth sign, you can think of Taurus as being the most solid form of earth that can exist, almost like a rock, the most stable.
Which would make sense, again, when we think about a bull in terms of the animal itself.
Immovable.
Yes, very solid.
Yeah. So just before we get started, we like to go over the significations from classical texts for the ruling planet of the sign. So the ruling planet for Taurus being Venus. We have a list of significations from a classical text on Vedic astrology called Paladipika. And so these things related to Venus or ruled by Venus are wealth, vehicles, clothes, ornaments, hoarded goods of any kind, so things that are valuable and stored away, song, music, and dance, your spouse, happiness, perfumes, flowers, sexual intercourse, couches. This is everything everyone likes. Houses, prosperity, pleasure in poetry, sexual addictions of any kind, serving as an advisor, charming speech, so speech that is flirtatious or makes other people feel good, marriage in general, and festivity.
So always remember, everyone's birth chart is unique and does depend on your individual planetary placements. So in general, we're going to talk about some significations of Taurus and some tips to help out anyone that is a Taurus or has their ascendant, moon, sun, or a cluster of planets in the sign of Taurus.
It can also apply if you're going through the Dasha of a planet, which is placed in the sign of Taurus.
Yes, so talking about our friend, the bull, Taurus, you can always imagine the animal. Not every sign has an animal representing it, but when they do, it's very, very evident why. Yeah. So if you imagine a bull, as we're kind of talking about all these things, Taurus is a very grounded sign. It's considered the most reliable sign of the zodiac. And individuals with this influence in their life are known to be full of substance and stability. When life gets kind of rough or tough, they have a lot of inner strength, like a bull, and it kind of makes them unwavering, powerful, and a bull itself represents strength and patience and endurance.
the text that we just read the significations of Venus from, Paladipika, also specifically states that for the sign of Taurus, a person with the energy of Taurus activated in their life is going to have a tremendous capacity to endure hardships. So they can persevere through pretty much anything, and they are very physically and mentally strong.
So usually their approach is slow and steady. They don't really rush, but they do always end up reaching their goals. When you stay grounded, it kind of enhances your ability to enjoy life's pleasures, which, as we talked about earlier, Taurus is very, very connected with pleasurable enjoyments.
Venus.
And when you're grounded, you also can make practical decisions, maintain that stability, which will align to your need for comfort and consistency.
Yeah, and this kind of slow, plodding nature can also be seen in the way that Tauruses don't really get very agitated very quickly. So they're known to be kind of tolerant in the sense that they're the bull. They know that they can't really be pushed over. And so if they're getting poked, they're kind of going to take it and take it and take it. But then all of a sudden, once they realize that whatever is poking them is not going to stop and they activate, they're going to crush whatever it is that's in the way.
So as an earth sign, Tauruses are naturally dependable people, and they seek that secure foundation in almost every aspect of their life. So that stability and security is very, very important to them. They rely heavily on their own hard work for achievements, and individuals, like we said earlier, they move at their own pace. So they're not really trying to rush to get something done. They're very comfortable being in their own element, working at their own pace to reach that goal, which ultimately they will achieve. But they do like to thrive in a predictable, consistent environment. So because of that need for stability, they aren't exactly the people that like something thrown at them all of a sudden and something to change out of nowhere.
And that kind of goes with going at their own pace. They'll go, but they're going to go on their own time, and they're not going to really want to be prodded.
Yeah, and they like it on their own time, not like all of a sudden someone tells you to switch up your routine.
Now do this all of a sudden. This sort of nature of being very stable can also present in their physical body, as we briefly mentioned already. But they are sometimes known to even have a better than average ability to have a very robust and strong body. And that can sometimes even manifest in them having a thicker kind of neck naturally than a normal person, just like a bull would. One really good example of that is, I'm pretty sure that Joe Rogan is a Taurus ascendant.
Oh, really?
I think we've seen his chart once.
Well, if that's true...
And he does have that kind of large neck. That doesn't mean every Taurus ascendant is going to be that thick. But,
and he's definitely a very strong person. Like strong, thick, stable kind of person. Yeah. So, of course, Taurus is ruled by Venus, and Venus governs material wealth. So Taurus individuals, with the stability that they like in every aspect of their life, they really, really, really like it with their finances. So their desire for comfort and security often drives them to make very thoughtful, strategic financial decisions.
Yeah, that can also be signified because Taurus represents, rather than specifically income, it represents in the original birth chart the accumulated wealth. So they're going to be really connected to the nature of that built up accumulated wealth. So one of the astrological reasons for their ability to strategize well financially is that the Lagna Lord, Venus, is naturally exalted in the 11th house of gains and income as the significator of wealth itself. one of the other reasons for this is that Mercury rules the second house, which would be Gemini for Taurus ascendant, and the fifth house, which would be Virgo for Taurus ascendant. Because of that, they can be very talented at using their mind and their intellect to figure out how to acquire more money and accumulate more money. One of the things that you can kind of draw a parallel with this too is the image of in the stock market. I think the image of the symbol of the stock market is that giant bull statue. It's a Taurus statue.
Yeah, it's another
I don't know if they did that on purpose, but it's...
Well, whether it's on purpose or not, it's like somebody either knew, either factually or intuitively, and it's just another example of how, and it's incredible to learn how astrology is really playing a role and symbolizing every aspect of our life and has for all time. So,
and it will happen unconsciously or consciously, even if a person has no connection to astrology whatsoever. Actually, sometimes even more in those cases, it will just kind of come out of them naturally. So so that stock market symbolism and the nature of the stock market, especially the fifth house, is also connected to stock speculation and speculative gains. So a Taurus can have a talent for investing in the stock market.
Yeah. And because they work really diligently to build this stable foundation for themselves, they also make sure that their family is really financially secure and stable. And this really helps them set their life up for success. Being an earth sign and being ruled by Venus, the planet of all things materialistic, Tauruses have a very strong connection to the physical world, okay? So they enjoy a lot of sensory experiences, and they're naturally drawn to beauty, comfort, and pleasure.
And another one of the classical descriptions of Taurus is that they will, quote, possess cattle and other material possessions. And I think what we can take that as in the modern world is not necessarily that they will have cows, literally. But cattle represents, in classical texts, as a possession, it can represent a lot of material wealth and abundance, especially in the form of things, valuable things.
Right.
They love worldly possessions, especially luxurious ones, because Venus is going to represent luxury, not just possessions, but things that are really high-end or brand name furniture can be seen with Tauruses a lot. Also, since Taurus is the original second house again, and since the moon in the chart of a Taurus gets naturally exalted in the ascendant, the moon represents enjoyment through food. The second house represents food, eating, and Venus represents, the mouth.
The mouth.
Anything that goes into your mouth is the second house. And then Venus represents luxury. So a Taurus person can really, really enjoy luxurious meals, fine dining, or even if they don't go out and spend a lot of money on fine dining, then it would be at home. They might cook or might have a spouse who cooks. They like food, definitely.
Foodies. Yeah. And when Tauruses typically do indulge, they actually more than likely will be financially responsible, because at the same time as enjoying all these luxurious items, they're very, very concerned about their finances, and they really want to be financially stable. So more than likely, they're able to balance their desire for the luxurious items, but being financially responsible, which that's like a really awesome skill, I think, to have. They don't like change. I said that earlier. So they do struggle with some adaptability. They can often be quite stubborn. I'm sure that comes as no surprise given everything we're saying. They are a fixed sign. So that means their nature is pretty fixed and rigid. And even though change isn't easy, we all know that change is sometimes very necessary for growth. So if this is describing you, try to view change as an opportunity rather than a threat. And again, if you have a lot of Taurus energy, that might be difficult. But astrology is the original self-help, so just
self-awareness.
Yep, this is where you can improve in your own life and try to be a little bit more flexible when it comes to some change.
Yep, less bullheaded maybe.
Bullheaded, yeah.
So overall, though, Taurians...
Taurians, they're like a species.
Taurians can be one of the zodiac signs which very naturally has a tendency to feel lucky. As long as the sign isn't heavily afflicted, this might be a person who can easily think, you know, that I'm very grateful for what I have in life and practice gratitude very effectively. So Tauruses can be very positive and lucky people.
So they're also known to be very loyal and trustworthy, which would make them a very incredible romantic partner. They thrive in relationships, but they have to be founded on long-term commitment and work. They need to work together towards pragmatic goals. Because remember everything we said about a Taurus's personality. They're not going to be wanting fleeting. They want something stable and secure. So for them, they make an excellent committed partner.
Yes, and this is where one of the issues for a Taurus can come up, which is that they can be a really good partner for the other person. However, there can be some difficulty for the Taurus person from their partner. So the 7th house of the chart of a Taurus person is Scorpio, the sign of Scorpio, which is ruled by Mars, the planet of conflict. And it also, Scorpio itself tends to represent, since it's the natural 8th house of the original zodiac, it represents sudden ups and downs, personal transformation, struggles to go through, accidents and things like that. So it can create some disturbances in or from relationships. And the Taurus person can, when they fall in love, kind of be submerged into that relationship and lose their identity and their individuality through that relationship, which again, for the other person might feel amazing, but that other person, since they're represented by that Scorpio energy, can bring a lot of difficulty and hardship for the Taurus person. So that's just something to be conscious of. And if you take advantage of your Taurus nature of moving forward very slowly and methodically, and in a very stable way, and you make slow, stable decisions about relationships, that can really help.
Yeah, because Taurus individuals themselves are very loyal and stable people, they really, really value having that from their partner. And that can sometime lead to feelings of possessiveness in the relationship. And it can also cause a lot of frustration if they feel they're not getting that same loyalty and value back that they are giving. And again, these are very stubborn people, so it can disrupt the relationship quite a bit if you're not aware of, you know, your tendencies of being really stubborn and allow it to become like if it manifests in a possessive nature, that will actually disrupt the stability of your relationship, even though you're actually trying to hold, you're like grasping to keep the relationship stable, so you get really possessive over it, but in the end that's going to actually give you the opposite effect.
And that just reminded me of something very quickly about the 7th house being Scorpio. Scorpio would naturally be a moksha sign. And so moksha signs are signs where you get the best results from the house in which that sign is placed when you let go, kind of, of whatever. And that's kind of what you're describing is there's already maybe a little bit of a tendency for chaos and ups and downs in relationship. So trying to desperately control that might even make it worse. But letting go with that nature, that moksha nature of Scorpio, is probably what would help. And I think that can be something that a Taurus person can naturally have an ability to do, because again, the classical texts describe them as having a forgiving disposition and also being very liberal and gift giving. So those are qualities that especially...
And nice gifts too, since they like...
Because they
the
understand, they have taste.
And just one more little tidbit here. Try to, if you can, if you're someone that is a Taurus or has a lot of Taurus energy, experiment with wearing the color black, because Saturn, the planet Saturn, rules the 9th and the 10th house for a Taurus, which becomes a yoga karaka, meaning just a really positive planet for a Taurus. And the color symbolized by Saturn is black. So this can actually serve as a really lucky color for you as a Taurus, especially when it has to do with your career. Well, we really hope you found these tips and information helpful and enjoyable. Don't forget to subscribe, give us a thumbs up and a like, and comment. We'd love to hear from you.
Let us know if you're a Taurus person and anything that we said made sense to you or didn't make sense to you, or you know any Taurus people and you have observations about them that you want to put in the comments below. Also, feel free to visit our website, atmaoccult.com, where you can see all of our consultations, books, and articles.